Welcome, and thank you for standing by. For the duration of today's conference, all parties will be in listen-only mode until the question-and-answer session, which will be conducted through the Adobe. This call is being recorded today for transcription purposes. I would now like to hand the conference over to Ms. Lacey Lofton. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, everyone who is joining us today. I'm excited about this presentation. We have a lot of information to cover, so just a couple of housekeeping rules first. If you have any questions while we're going through this, and I expect there to be a lot of questions, like I said, there are a lot of different topics we'll cover. There is a question and answer option on your WebEx app, so you can type any questions there. If a question comes up a bunch, we'll answer that. We'll go live and use our voices to tell you the answer to that. If it's something a little more specific, we might get back to you after this webinar, but either way, we've got a record of this, and we'll make sure we answer all the questions that come up during. We won't do any voice questions, so that's the only way to do it, and then we'll follow up with email after the fact. I'm here. I'm very excited to introduce my two colleagues, which I've spent a lot of time with in the last couple of days, which has been actually a nice change. Angelo and Candace are both from the Respondent Outreach and Promotion branch of the Economic Directorate, and it's their job to make sure everybody understands what surveys are happening, what are the benefits of responding, and really what the uses of those data are after the fact. So that is our goal for today, tell you what surveys and different resources we have, how you can access them, and then also the value of your responding to any of these surveys if you receive one. So with that, Angelo, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Lacey.
Okay, excellent. And we can see your screen. Everything looks great.
Great, yeah. And if you're there and happen to see something freeze or not work, just shout and let me know, and we can stop and fix it.
I will do that. That's great.
Great. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Like Lacey's introduction stated, my name is Angelo Bonacorsi, and I am a program analyst for the Respondent Outreach and Promotion branch here at the U.S. Census Bureau. So I'm here with Lacey and my teammate, survey statistician Candace Wilson, and together with our branch, we work with intermediaries and trusted voices such as chambers of commerce, trade associations, and small business development centers in targeted areas and industries in the U.S. in an effort to show the value of survey response. And that, in turn, that ensures the accuracy of our data, which is beneficial to those actually using the data. And we develop communication plans around the economic census and related surveys. And a little later on, we're going to show you a couple example videos that showcase this effort a little later in this presentation. So today, we're going to walk you through a brief overview of the Bureau's economic censuses and surveys. Then I'll turn things back to Lacey, who is going to demo some of our data tools that can be used, all for free, and look at some statistics that can be valuable to business owners, stakeholders, and policymakers, and allow them to make informed decisions in their respective areas. And she is absolutely amazing in doing just that. We'll conclude with Candace. We'll take things back to Candace, who will talk and share another video about that will show reasons to respond to economic censuses and surveys. And then we'll end with some Q&A. So first, I'd like to share this video. It was developed as part of our 2017 Economic Census Response Promotion Campaign. You'll see it profiles a business owner named James and how he used census data to help choose a second location for his business. And it's just one example of the usefulness of our data. The purpose of our surveys is to provide relevant and timely data for a variety of decision makers, whether it's a small business owner like James or a local economic development director or even a national economist. We have a wide variety of data that can be used. So I'll go ahead and play that and you guys can watch it.
It's all about making smart decisions for my business.
Meet James, the proud owner of a very popular local restaurant.
When we decided it was time to open our second location, we needed information to help us pick the right spot. And you know where we found it? The U.S. Census Bureau. Sure, they measure the population, but they have data on the whole economy, every industry and geography. It helped us find the perfect spot in just the right location.
The Census Bureau conducts more than 50 surveys on the U.S. economy each year, from the monthly economic indicators essential for the GDP to annual survey programs targeting sectors of the economy to the economic census measuring all U.S. businesses every 5 years. Statistics are available free and online and are made possible by response to Census Bureau surveys. The data businesses provide is kept strictly confidential and fuels the local, regional, and national statistics needed for planning and decision-making. Statistics used by business owners like James.
Sure work for our business.
Statistics from the Census Bureau. Data on every U.S. industry and geography that can help businesses grow. Visit census.gov for more information.
So we tested that video earlier, and it seemed to work, but there have
It
been...
did. It worked.
Oh, great. Okay. I was just going to say, if anybody experienced a lag or couldn't hear it very well, that video, along with the one we're going to show a little bit later, is available to watch at census.gov/econ, and you can watch it. It's on our YouTube page as well. So as the government's largest statistical agency, every year we're responsible for conducting more than 130 monthly, quarterly, annual, and periodic surveys. And as I'm sure everybody on this webinar is aware, we recently wrapped up the 2020 decennial census, also more commonly referred to as the population census. We conduct this every 10 years to complete count of everyone living in the United States. The census was this particular one was the very first we collected the majority of responses, with a few exceptions, completely online. While it's clearly the largest and most public-facing duty the Census Bureau is responsible for, a lot of people don't know that we do a lot more than just that. Every 5 years, we do a complete census of governments. From this, we publish information on state and local government sectors, including data on employment, data on wages and assets and revenue, and so much more. It provides authoritative benchmark figures on public finance and public employment. And the economic census at the bottom there, it's conducted every 5 years, years ending in 2 and 7. This is a census of employer businesses, which means businesses with one or more paid employee. This census also serves as the most extensive collection of data related to business activity. Around 4 million businesses, large, medium, and small, across the U.S. receive surveys that are tailored to their primary business activity. And like I mentioned earlier, data produced can be an invaluable resource for all industries. For example, trade associations rely on census data to measure key business facts that they can use to gauge organizational structure and product trends. And again, you can go to census.gov to learn a lot more about these and other Census Bureau efforts, along with statistics from all of these surveys, and we'll show you, again, more of that a little bit later. There are a few other surveys I want to mention before we move on. The Survey of Business Owners and the Annual Survey of Entrepreneurs are both surveys that produce data on race, ethnicity, gender, and veteran status of business owners. Because there was such a high demand for this data, and since these surveys were only conducted every 5 years, we replaced this with a survey called the Annual Business Survey. And the Annual Business Survey, it will essentially produce the same types of data. The only difference is we're releasing it on an annual basis. Similarly, we conduct a household survey, again on an annual basis, to supplement the decennial census called the American Community Survey. We call it ACS. The ACS, it provides demographic, socioeconomic, and housing data on an annual basis down to the block group level. This is a survey that can help local officials, it can help community leaders, and businesses understand the changes that are taking place in their communities. So the Census Bureau conducts over 50 different surveys each year for the U.S. economy. The monthly and quarterly surveys we conduct provide the timeliest data, but they are limited in the amount of detail they provide as they have the smallest sample size. Included in these surveys are the economic indicators, which are they're vital for tracking and reporting the GDP. So, like, for example, if you're watching the nightly news and they say the Department of Commerce reports that U.S. retail and food services sales for June 2021 increased 0.6% from the previous month, that's data from our advanced monthly sales for retail and food services survey. Also, last week there was a headline, U.S. housing starts rise in June, and building permits start to fall sharply, something like that. This was reporting on our latest monthly new residential construction release. That's a joint effort with us at the U.S. Census Bureau and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Annual surveys measure nearly every sector of businesses in the U.S. Their sample size is the largest after the economic census, and it gives us the most up-to-date trend data. These include surveys such as the annual survey of manufacturers, annual retail trade survey, and the annual capital expenditure survey, just to name a couple. This also would include the annual business survey that I mentioned a little earlier. So the economic census, it sets the benchmark for all of the smaller surveys that are conducted on a more frequent basis. It's the least frequently conducted, yet it provides the most detailed and comprehensive list of business data from which most other economic surveys pull their samples from. It's also our most detailed survey in terms of geography. It provides data at the national and state level, but it also includes metro area data, county, and place data. And what I mean by place, I'm referring to things like cities and towns and villages and boroughs of at least 2,500 jobs. The data published from the economic census can also highlight the size of an establishment, firm, or franchise. This is also the most detailed program in terms of the amount of data variables we publish. In all of our economic sectors, we include the variables of establishments, employment, payroll, and sales. Also included, though, are variables that are specific to a given sector, like inventories, assets, and expenses. Response to the economic census is required by law to everyone who receives it, and responses are kept confidential by us. Starting with the 2017 economic census, all of our responses were collected online through our response portal, and businesses reported their 2017 year-end numbers. And the next economic census down the pike will be conducted in early 2023. So all of our data produced through these surveys are available through a number of Census Bureau data platforms. QuickFacts provides statistics for all states and counties in the U.S., and also for cities and towns with a population of 5,000 or more. Census Business Builder is a great tool to find demographic and economic data, which can be tailored to your specific needs. And there's also data.census.gov, which recently replaced American Fact Finder as the enterprise data tool for the Census Bureau. So with that, I will segue into Lacey, who's going to show you and demo a couple of these things for you. And I will give you control.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Angelo. I appreciate this. And Angelo and I have been working together for a long time in different capacities, and every time I watch one of your presentations, I learn something. So thank you so much for that. I am excited about walking through some of the data platforms that we have. But first, I should have mentioned at the beginning, and thank you, Anthony, for sharing this, that this is being recorded. The transcript, as well as the recording and the PowerPoint, will all be available on our website. It should be in the next couple of weeks. So we're getting some feedback. I don't know if everybody's muted there, but it should be available there. So if you're furiously taking notes, you can kind of give yourself a break. This will be available to you at a later date. I'm excited about this. So I actually started almost 20 years ago on the economic census, and I know I'm dating myself with that, but it was like an exciting time. I was 22, and I was analyzing mining data, silver mining data for the economic census. And so this is something that's been close to my heart for a really long time. We have a lot of different data sources and a lot of different platforms for examining that data. Today we're going to share our favorite 3 because we got to pick them. So that's what we're going to examine those. This is our website. Hopefully this is something that most of you have seen before. We changed the blue, and I like this new cover picture we have. It's very fancy. But all of the data tools that we have are under Explore Data. So I'm going to walk through this a couple times just for repetition, but again, this is being recorded, so you don't have to remember every single step of every one of these different, tools. Under Data Tools and Apps, first, so there's 3 pages of these, and we're actually working on consolidating some of them. We realize that we have so many different data sources and so many different platforms that can be a little overwhelming and a little confusing. But what we are working on is consolidating some of those. So down to 3 pages. The very first one I'm going to show you is quick facts, because these are in alphabetical order. Is anybody else getting feedback? Okay, just stopped. Maybe it's me.
You sound clear.
Okay, sounds good. It might be you, Angelo. So, all right, okay, good deal. So we've got, if you go to page 2, down here, we have quick facts. This is our most, it's just like the name makes it sound, it's our most direct and most quick and easy way to find data. So there's only a couple steps here, and we've picked tools that are pretty easy to navigate. But what you start with is your state, your county, or your city or town. And you can actually enter a zip code. We don't have a zip code data built in here, but if you enter a zip code, it'll pull up the city or town that you're in. So I'm going to enter my parents' old zip code, which they moved away from recently because my mother was frustrated with the traffic. And it was funny, I made fun of her until I realized how much it had grown. And luckily, the Census Bureau has the data to prove that she wasn't making it all up. So it is in Austin, Texas. And when you choose your geography, it will always have the United States as comparison. And this is awesome, right? Because if you're looking at a percentage especially, so for example, people 65 years or older, so there's 8.9% in the city of Austin, and the United States is 16.5. Without that benchmark of the United States, it's kind of harder to understand exactly what that number means. So we always have that comparison there. This will come up with all of the basic facts that this platform has. So as soon as you choose a geography, it will also have all of these different data points. It's really high level, but it gives you a really good overview of the area you're looking into. If you want to narrow it down, though, say you're going to download this and give it to someone else, and a lot of this seems very overwhelming, it's too much, you can start by selecting a fact. And what this will do is it'll pull the fact up to the very top of this chart. So we can say, okay, let's look at the percentage of people who are Asian alone. And that very top fact will switch over to that data point. So we can see in the city of Austin, Texas, 7.6% of the population are Asian alone. And in the United States, it's 5.9%. So Austin has a more thriving Asian population than, in theory, the United States does overall. Certainly there's more data here that is always included with these. But if you want to highlight a data point, that's a good way to do it. If you want to look at more specifically a category of data, you can choose from this. So if you just want basic population information here, I know that most of you are here to see more information about the economy, so I will select this. This is not changing the data. This was data that was in that whole long list that we just showed, but it's highlighting it. So it's taking out the economic part of it. And where that starts to matter is when we download it. I'm going to show you guys that in just a few minutes. If you want to look at a map, so especially if you're looking at a county or a city or a town that you're not familiar with, say you're a little bit further outside of your geographical area where you physically live and you want to know where it is, you click on map. It'll give you the United States as the default. But let's look at Austin, Texas. course, I live here, so I feel like everybody knows where it is, but let's say that's not the case. It will show you a map of where that is, which is really useful, especially if you're looking at counties or doing a little more exploration in areas that you're less familiar with. This is a good map, and they make a really nice download printable version. For the charts, let's go back to Austin City. What this will do is it'll pull up, so we've got the cities here. So if we did county, it would pull up all the counties in Texas. Right now we have a city in Texas, so it's going to pull up all the cities in Texas. But it'll give you a really clean and pretty bar chart of how Austin, Texas, compares to all of the other cities within the state of Texas. So it's just quick, it's easy, this downloads really nicely, it creates a great PDF. It's just another option so you can compare one area to the others within the state. For the dashboard, this is where we get a little more fancy, and it kind of combines all three. So you'll still have the map that shows you, in this case, Austin, Texas, which kind of looks like a, I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, but it's I've never really seen it from this angle, and it's kind of an interesting view, so very good. And then it has all of the information that was available from that first landing page within QuickFacts, and then it also, I zoomed out, sorry about that. But then it also still has the charts and graphs. So this will combine all of the different options that you have. And again, here's the best part. You can download and print this. So you can make a CSV. You can do all sorts of different things. But I'll show you, it makes a nice, pretty product that is really, it's very snazzy. Snazzy is the word I'm coming up with, so I'm going with that. It's like a snazzy, pretty picture of an overview of Austin, Texas. So does anyone have any questions in that? Angelo, I know you're keeping an eye on the Q&A. Does anyone have any questions about QuickFacts? It's pretty straightforward.
Somebody asked, is it possible to view trends, for example, like several years at a time?
Not with this tool specifically, but I'm going to show you a place that you can find trends. So we will get to that when we get to data.census.gov. And actually, Business Builder, which is the next one that's up, will have some of those features as well. Okay. Anything else?
And can you view MSAs on QuickFacts?
No. So no. But Business Builder, which we're going to next, just added MSAs. And data.census.gov does as well. So while this tool kind of does some highlights, I don't believe there's MSAs built into this. I can try. Let's try it, want to? Because we add things all the time. Nope. Okay. So it's funny. We update these tools all the time, and sometimes I say, no, it's not there, and we've done an update. No, this tool in particular does not include MSAs, but the next two tools that we're going to discuss does. So we can get to the data you're looking for there. What else? Good questions. Okay, going once, going twice.
So, there's one more that popped in.
Okay, sure.
So this isn't necessarily a QuickFacts question, but when you say Asian alone, like define alone? What does alone mean?
Yeah, so we, for the American Community Survey or the decennial census, which is where most race and ethnicity data is collected for just the normal population, so not businesses, we ask what your race is, and you can choose as many categories as you feel apply to you. So we have white, black, Asian, Pacific Islander, and then a completely, Native American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and then we also, in a completely separate category, have Hispanic or Latino. So from the race category, you can choose as many or as few as you feel apply to you. So if you just choose Asian alone, that's what that data point is showing. But you can also choose. You have to choose one, but you can choose all four as well. So that's what the Asian alone means. So if you wanted to see the population that considered themselves Asian in some part, you could. That's a different data point that we'll explore later. It's important to actually point out that Hispanic is a completely separate number. So we asked everyone if they consider themselves to be Hispanic or Latino or not. And those two numbers will add up to 100 because it's just you either identify as Hispanic or Latino or not, or just white alone, but the racial category never adds up to 100, and that confuses a lot of people, and it's because so many people across the country identify as more than one race. Good question. What else? We have an audience with good questions. This is fun. What else you got?
Okay, so I just lost it because it's stolen. What about companies that have gone bankrupt? Is there any data for that?
That is a question for you. I don't believe so, right? I think we do and we talk about this with humans too. So as far as businesses and humans, we only survey people that are alive. We don't have any information on, like, for household surveys for the ACS. It's just people that can respond to surveys. And I think it's the same with the economic side. Angelo, Tandis, do you guys want to chime in on that?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, good deal. Anything else there before we move on to Census Business Builder, which is my personal favorite? Okay, well, if you have any more questions, okay, if you have any more questions that anybody thinks of, just let me know. But I'm going to go back to census.gov and navigate to Census Business Builder. So again, under Explore Data, we have Data Tools and Apps. And just here on the first page is Census Business Builder. Now this tool, and I hope some of you are familiar with it. One of our good friends, Andy, this is his project, and he has taken on full ownership, and it's just a really, really cool suite of products. He originally was looking for a tool that would help people that were starting or looking to expand a business. And that's what you'll see here in the Small Business Edition. As soon as this was launched, and this was several years ago, I'm trying to think it was like 2017. It seems like a long time ago now. There were so many different uses, and I was actually one of the people that was using this tool for something very outside of starting or growing a business. They created the Regional Analyst Edition, and this has some other cool features. So the Small Business Edition still focuses on people looking to start or grow a business. Using this version of the tool, you have to choose an industry or a business type. And then it will give you information for that business type within one geography. So you could say, look at drywall businesses within Travis County, Texas. The Regional Analyst Edition does some different and really cool things. This is the only tool that we have on our website that will let you create your own geography. And this was a really big deal for me personally because I used to spend a lot of time with a TI-83 calculator doing math myself. And now this does it all for me, which just made my life a lot better. So if you want to combine a bunch of different zip codes, so if you're looking to start a business and your customers will come from multiple zip codes, this tool will allow you to combine zip codes. You can combine counties, say if you're a regional planning organization. These both have MSAs built into them now. I think that was just released like 3 weeks ago, so that's a new, fun, shiny tool that we have available. But those are the main differences. Small Business Edition, you are required to choose a business type or an industry, and you can only have one geography. And the Regional Analyst Edition will give you an overview of all of the economic sectors, and you can make your own geography within some certain requirements. I'm going to go to the Regional Analyst Edition. These are very similar, and the look and feel is very similar. So I think if you understand the Regional Analyst Edition, you can take that knowledge and use it with the Small Business Edition. Actually, the call I get the most on this is where you actually click, and you click right here. So we have to select to launch. Okay. This is the landing page. One of my favorite things about this is it doesn't make you think too hard. You can go into this tool and just do exploration. You don't have to know a lot about what you want to see before you get there. If you click on Find My Location, it will give you all of the different geographic options. So we do metros now, very new and very cool. I was really excited about that addition. You can look at counties. You can certainly look at states. You can look at a place, as Angela was talking about earlier, so that's like a city or a town. You can look at zip codes, and you can also look at census tracts now. One of the things I'll highlight here, which is really, it's a constantly changing and moving thing. But for the economic data that we publish, the vast majority of the economic data we publish is at the county or MSA level, and sometimes the city or town. For human beings and housing data, we have that down to the zip code level, and we have that down to the tract level. That usually comes from the American Community Survey. But if you want to produce a report that has a lot of really rich economic data, you probably want to stick to either if you live in a bigger city or town that works, or if you or stick to counties. So I'm going to choose Travis County, Texas, just so I'm giving you guys the best example possible. But the first thing that's cool about this is the mapping feature. So this is built on Esri's platform. This is built with ArcGIS, and we actually partnered with them to get some additional data that we don't produce ourselves that is integrated into this tool. I'll zoom out a bit. We updated the colors not all that long ago. It's a good-looking mapping feature here. So right now we have Travis County, Texas. This overlay will pop up and give you some basic information. We have the total population as of the last ACS, and we'll see how this turns out for the census pretty soon, 1.226 million. Then we haven't chosen a second map variable. I'll talk about that in a second. But first thing it lets you do is compare over time. So I live here. I can tell you Austin is growing very quickly. It's a fun process. It's fun having new people here. We've got 1.09 million between 2010 and 2014, and now we're estimating 1.226 million. I expect when the census numbers come out, that'll be much higher. There's some overview information. So average income, this is of household. We have percentage of high school degree or higher, home ownership rate, and all employers. Let's say, just from a mapping perspective, you want to look at average income. So right now, this map will always default to total population, which is important, but kind of the most well-known data point that is built into this tool. Let's switch it over to average income. If you're looking to start a business, you want to know where people have money to spend. Now the map is repopulated, so we can see right here that anything in dark blue is between 79,000 and 130,000. And let's say we want to look at the next, at an area that is a lower income area. You can see that the green would indicate a lower income area. This is one of the few tools we have where you don't have to go back to the drawing board and start over. You can just click on the map, and it will, this is one of my favorite parts, it'll tell you what you clicked on. So especially if you're doing census tracts or zip codes and you don't really know, I don't know all the zip codes in my area. Even I don't know all the census tracts in my area, and I probably know them better than most. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not really sure. But whatever geography you click on, and right now we're looking at counties, it'll tell you what that is. Then it'll give you basic overview information. So 50,000, total population is 17,000, percent high school degree or higher, 76.9, and on and on. This is the best part about this tool, and the reason that Andy pushed for its creation was you can make your own geography. So I live in Travis County, but I'm just on the corner with Williamson County. And if I wanted to do an analysis of both Travis County and Williamson County, all you have to do is come over here and click on Edit Region. Then, so the red area will show you what the current region is. The blue will show you what is currently selected here. But I'll just say add to my region for Williamson County. Make sure it pops up over here for what you're expecting. I more than once thought I added something that I didn't, but the region will be outlined in red. The specific geography you're looking at will be outlined in blue. If you want to add another one, I'll just come down here, click on this geography. It'll tell you what it is, give you some basic overview information here, and then you can add to your region by clicking on the Add to My Region. So assuming I'm finished, you can add, I think it's 30 geographies. That might have been updated. It was about a month ago. It was still 30. I should know that, but you can add, I believe it's 30. I'll show you where some literature that'll help you actually answer questions that I'm stumbling over here, where it's available. But you click on Finish Editing, and then to create a report of this entire region, you'll click here. If you want to just create a report from one single geography, so here we have Hays County selected, you click here. Keep an eye on this. I know that I personally have chosen the wrong Create Report button and confused myself with what I was looking at. But let's look at the report, because this is the most fun part. So this is all free. It's publicly available. Well, you've already paid for it. So it's publicly available on our website. This is something that you can use for a marketing report if you're looking to, if you're applying for a grant This is great. You can hand it over. There's no copyright. You can include whatever pages you want, and you can exclude whatever pages you don't want. So you can use this really however is appropriate. We realize, I think it's a 13-page report that is building just to add to the tension. But you can take out if there are parts of this report that don't apply to your proposal or to your marketing plan. You can always remove those. Angela, while we are waiting for this to build, are there any questions that I can address?
I've actually been trying to address some of those via chat while you've been talking.
Oh, my goodness. Is this good or bad news?
Well, somebody had just asked about agriculture data, and I just informed them that agriculture data is actually done through the Department of Agriculture. They do an agricultural census. It's one of the few that we actually don't do.
Yeah, we used to, but we weren't around for it yet. Yeah, they beat us to it.
Right. Somebody just asked, is 30 the maximum county areas you can choose?
So it's any geography, and now I'm really hesitating. I actually feel like I was wrong on that number. I think the actual number is 20. I will pull this up. I will pull this up and find out. It's either 20 or 30, and I feel like it's 20. But it's any geography. So if it's 20 or 30, whichever one I figure out it is in just a few moments, you can add that number of that geography. So you could say gather together 20 zip codes, or you could gather together 20 counties. You could do 20 states. So whatever geography you choose, and you actually can add these two together. So like if you wanted to add an MSA, an area that's an MSA, and then add some counties around it that don't quite fall into that MSA, they don't have to be the same type of geography, and that's another really cool thing that's built into this. The only caution I'd give you is if you choose a place, so say you choose the city of Austin, and I'm going to give up on this building a report. If you choose the city of Austin and then you also choose a county that's kind of in the outlying area, anything that overlaps will be duplicated within the data. So, but yeah, you can choose up. I think it's 20. I'm sticking with 20 for now. I will let you know if I was wrong about that. Final answer, 20. Okay, that is not working. You know, I'm going to try this. So they're very similar. Let me switch to just Travis County because I just want to be able to show a report. And I was joking earlier this week. I feel like anytime you're live, like the cat will meow at the door and the website will not work. Those are the two things that will always happen. Oh, man, it's such a good report. Okay. I think I've upset the business builder world because it did this to me just the other day. I tell you what, I'll try to come back to this. I know that I have reports saved on my desktop, so I can always pull one of those up if we run out of time and this isn't working. But any other questions, Angelo, before I move on to data.census.gov? I'm going to take that as a hard no. Okay. Okay, so most of you have probably or hopefully seen our brand new data platform. This is the main data platform for all of the Census Bureau. It's enterprise-wide, and there are a lot of different data sources here. So we have a lot of different surveys. We have a lot of different operations where the data is reflected here. For those of you who have been with us for a while, you're probably familiar with American Fact Finder. This replaced American Fact Finder. And just to give an overview of why, American Fact Finder was awesome, and I actually loved it, and I got really emotionally attached just in time for it to change. But it only had pre-existing and stagnant tables. So if you pulled a table, it already existed. Like it was something we created, and it was more like a file folder. You were pulling something that already existed. Data.census.gov is building tables and building products while you are searching for them. So it's pulling directly from our API, just as Business Builder does, but it gives us as a Bureau a lot more flexibility. So this is going to be the major platform release platform for the 2020 census. It's also where we keep all of our economic census data, most of our economic surveys, the American Community Survey. So this is really a place that you can come to find a lot of information. For those who just want a really basic data point, if you want to know how many people live in Texas, we try to be just like, any search engine. People in Texas. Okay, so you can just click on this. It'll take you to a table. I'm not going to click on this because of my bad luck with Business Builder just a second ago, but it actually has pretty good search capabilities. So when you type something in, usually the options that show up will be things you expected them to be. So this has gotten better as we've had more users too. It's learning as we go, just like the rest of us. If you want something a little more in-depth, I said that too quickly. The advanced search is very similar to the navigation of American Fact Finder. So either if you just really know what you're looking for, or if you're used to American Fact Finder, this is a great way to start. This should look very familiar to those of you who have been using Fact Finder forever. You are just going to whittle down from this huge database of products and information that we have by choosing topics, geographies, years, surveys, or codes. So if you're looking for specific NAICS codes. I'm going to start with geography, and I always start with geography. In my opinion, it saves you a lot of headaches. So one of the things that frustrates me is if I figure out, okay, this is a data point that I want, and then I find out it's not available for the area I was hoping for. So if I start with geography, I don't have those disappointments. So let's just start. Let's go to state. And I'm in Texas, and so I'm just going to stick with where I am. So we can choose Texas, and then if we go to topics, we can look at business and economy. There are drop-down menus within each of these, and just remember, especially if you're looking at a geography list and it's really long, this is going to build as you're making these selections, so please keep that in mind. But let's just choose business and economy. And then down here, it'll tell you what you've selected. And then you choose search. The very first page will give you all of the most selected options for those search criteria. So you've got tables, you have some highlight data points, a couple different products over here. Probably if you're looking for more serious data or more in-depth data, you'll be looking at tables. When you scroll through here, it will give you, and I feel like we got better at wording our data products here, so it's like all sectors. These are long titles, but they're long titles for a reason. Hopefully they're describing what's actually in them, and you can preview all of them. So you can just scroll through. You don't have to know exactly what you're looking for. You can get here and then choose when you can actually look at the preview. To customize, you can customize tables here, and then you can also download. I know I'm running short on time and Tandem, so I want to make sure I give you plenty of time too. I've been talking too much today. But if you want to download here, you can. You can either download as choose this one. You have the option of a CSV right now. You download that, and it'll create a CSV file. It's 2 different files, really, really quick and easy. I'm not going to try again just because of the Business Builder holdup I had a second ago. But this is a really quick and easy tool. I'll show you one more search. This is back to data.census.gov. Let's go to advanced search. Again, I'm going to start with geography. And let's look at a county. Let's go to Maryland. And let's go to all counties in Maryland. So you can choose that as well. It'll pop down here. And then if you want topics, let's go to business and economy. And then let's look at business and owner characteristics. So we'll choose that again, business and owner characteristics. So now we have all counties in Maryland and business and owner characteristics. We click on search. The first thing that comes up is all of the tables. I'm sorry, all of the everything. It's a nice look at tables. And this will give us a preview. So here we can look at the different counties with some of the basic data and information, and it will give you all of the different options here. You can look at financial characteristics. These are housing units, actually. But you can also pull up a map. So again, probably if you're looking at counties in Maryland, you probably know where they are. But if you're looking at census tracts, or if you're looking at places, so cities that have a little bit more of a unique geography, this is a good place to understand what you're looking at. And then here are pages. Oh, pages. This is a great place usually for looking for like methodology. If you want to understand, okay, so we're looking at quick facts, where does that data come from? This is a place where you can find a lot of that. With that, I have been talking for a solid 33 minutes. Angela, what questions do we have here? And then I will zip it, and I will hand it over to Candace.
We have a few questions that are pretty detailed that we could take offline and answer individually. Okay. A couple questions regarding what data was in data.census.gov, and Anthony supplied a link for everybody.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yep, thank you, Anthony. So we and that's it. It's been, I think people were pretty captivated with what you were showing them.
I'm going to go with that's the reason. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Candace, are you ready?
No, yes, I'm ready.
You're the closer. This is a big deal.
Well, I think you set me up pretty nice.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And then, Angela, you should be able to grab that back.
I think you or Anthony need to give it to me.
Anthony, can you do that? Sorry. There we go.
It can be gifted,
faster than
but
I am.
Feel it. Okay. Okay, do we see that? Okay.
We sure do.
Excellent. Take it away,
All right, Candace, all you.
Thanks, guys. So why should businesses respond? We get this question a whole lot. A lot of it is a lot of what Lacey just showed us. The data, tools, and apps would not be possible without the data provided to us by the businesses. But imagine if you were a small business or wanting to start a business, our data is a great resource for figuring out where the possible competitors are, if the location makes sense, and also information on potential customers. These numbers also can come in handy when you're creating a business plan, and so you'll need that for applying for a bank loan. Outside of business owners, a lot of students use our data for research papers and things like that, so it's really important to respond. We have a short video with a couple more reasons. You can hear some inside information.
Sure.
Why do businesses respond to Census Bureau economic surveys?
Because data from individual businesses is what makes statistics available for all businesses. When I opened my first shop, I used Census Bureau data to identify which zip codes had other sporting goods and bike stores to help pick a competitive location. I looked at payroll data to set employee wages and used all this census data to get my bank loan approved.
I fill out my Census Bureau surveys because they need my data from all businesses, so their analysts can crunch the numbers.
Every survey is designed with a representative sample. We need responses from all businesses of all sizes in order to do our job, to do the statistical analysis, to make sure all businesses are represented, to provide the official economic reports people rely on. Economic census is really important. We use it in two ways. One, to measure our market share in metropolitan areas and states across the country. And secondly, we use it to watch how consumers are spending. No one else but the Census Bureau has the resources and ability to collect the information at this level of accuracy.
It's pretty straightforward. We analyze the key economic indicators and GDP updates to study the market. That data comes from the Census Bureau, and they can only provide it if businesses respond to their surveys.
We use Census Bureau statistics for our emergency response plan to research hospital coverage, building material availability, concentration of our business and population. Are Census Bureau surveys important? Yes, absolutely. We need them. We need this data.
It's the data that drives the whole economy, available for everyone to use, free, secure, and online. We really do appreciate your help. We're working to simplify responses to census surveys and to make the data easy to access for you and your business.
Business statistics from the Census Bureau. Data on every U.S. industry and geography that can help businesses grow. Visit census.gov for more information.
Thank you. So that just gives you a little bit more insight about what we use the data for. This video is also on our website, census.gov/econ. And if you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to visit Census Bureau webpage, census.gov, and you can stay current with the latest stats release. As Lacey mentioned earlier, today's video, transcript, and supported materials will also be archived on the Census Academy webpage. So just give it a little bit of time, like a week or two. If you don't see it, just check back. And we're also available. We'll provide our email information later, so if you have any questions, you can email me or Lacey, Angelo, and we'll be more than happy to answer anything you have. So I think that about wraps everything up. For if you have any more questions, you can look.
Angela, do you see any more questions for any of us about anything?
Let me see. I was sharing the presentation, so I wasn't in chat mode. Let's see what we have. Let me see how to do that real quick.
I shouldn't have probably distracted you. If you want to put up your contact information on that last slide. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
Oh, that's okay.
There you go. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, Angela, can you go one back? It ended the slideshow.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, just trying to navigate the Q&A while I'm also sharing. Let's see here.
There you go. Well, I'll turn it over to you guys to wrap it up. If there's any other questions, I apologize for the Business Builder report not being available. But what we'll do is when we post this transcript, we can also post a file that'll have that example. It makes a really nice PDF, I promise. So we'll have that as well. But otherwise, I will turn it back over to you guys to wrap up any questions or comments you have for the audience.
Yeah, we just want to, thank everybody for joining in. Like Candace had mentioned just a moment ago, our contact information is there. We're happy to field any additional questions that weren't answered during this presentation. If you have any other detailed, like data questions or things like that, we're happy to help you guys out. That's all we have. We want to thank everybody for joining us and hope you all have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
That does conclude today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may disconnect at this time. Speakers, please allow a moment of silence and stand by for your post-conference.